A new branch of Mom's Fine Truth is opening up as we speak. We are going to be deep diving into true health, biblical health, and narrowing in on child-friendly health. Stay tuned to hear more. So, we're all moms at the table here, right? And if we're honest with ourselves, one of the biggest struggles or pushbacks in trying to get our family on a healthy diet is pushback from the kids. Am I right? And a lot of times we'll say things like, well, at least they're eating something sometimes, right? Or kids are just being kids. Hopefully they'll grow out of it eventually. Or my kids aren't eating any healthy food, so how many ways can I try to sneak healthy food into the diet that they will actually agree to eat? But today, I would like to take the general thoughts that we moms tend to have and challenge those ideas. And I don't think that this is going to come as a new concept to a lot of y'all, but I think some of the things I'm about to say are hard truths that we don't necessarily want to face, because it is a struggle. To push against the norm, to push against what comes naturally is not easy, and it's not fun. And it's not usually an overnight change. But when we want what's best for our children, sometimes we have to admit the hard truths. But now I want to go ahead and jump into my 6 tips on how to make this transition in your home. And my first tip is to educate yourself, because you cannot convincingly communicate to your children why we're doing this if you don't fully understand it yourself. But also, you cannot expect your children to transition into a healthy way of eating if you are also not. I would highly doubt that the average person addicted to the modern diet would be able to successfully and permanently transition to a healthier way of eating without having the motivation of the head knowledge of what this processed addictive food is doing to our systems. And at the risk of sounding like I am tooting my own horn, my top suggestion for educating yourself on the ins and outs of the dangers of our modern diet, the ins and outs of what is a healthy diet, a breakdown of the ingredients, what to look for, where to look for them, and exactly how to incorporate them into your diet and the life of a busy mom, is the Mom's Fine Health course, the new branch of Mom's Fine Truth. It is a course that I'm releasing again as we speak, and I will be releasing it, drip feeding each module once a week. So check out the link for the course down below. My next tip is to, once you've educated yourself, to make a full conversion. Like as in, chuck the bad stuff, invest in the good stuff. And that might sound intimidating right now, because you don't necessarily even know what that transition would look like, which is why I suggest checking out the course, because I literally walk you through it step by step. But we have to remember that this processed food is addicting. And so if we truly look at it that way, we have to look at it the way we would suggest an alcoholic or a drug addict handling it. You wouldn't say to an alcoholic who has shelves full of alcohol at their home, make a small bottle by bottle step. Maybe get rid of 1 bottle every week and try to replace it with a different kind of beverage. No, you'd say you're addicted to alcohol. It is ruining your insides. It's ruining your future. You want to break this addiction. It's all got to go. It's all or nothing. Because if you keep some of it here, if you just dabble, you're going to stay addicted. So you're wanting to conquer this addiction for yourself, maybe, and definitely for your kids. That's all or nothing. Again, you can try. You can try to dabble. You can try to keep the treat shelf at the house or whatever that looks like. I'm just telling you right now, if you do still end up being successful, it's going to take a lot longer and it's going to be a lot more painful. Your taste buds will change. Your children's taste buds will change. But the more you keep the addiction on their butts, the longer it's going to take. All right, and tip number 3 in transitioning your children to a healthy diet is to put the most important food on their plate first. Now, I don't do just one food on my older kids' plate anymore because they know what food they need to eat first. Because I don't want, if they're not hungry, I'm not going to sit here and say, you have to eat this. They're not hungry, they don't have to eat. Their bodies will go through growth spurts and not go through growth spurts. But if they are hungry, this is the food they need to eat first. So we say meat. You need to eat your meat first. So if you're not hungry, that's fine. You don't have to eat your meat. You don't have to eat anything else. But if you are hungry, you need to finish the meat that I put on your plate. And then you can eat whatever you want on your plate. Anything that's on your plate. And so I usually do a good sized portion of meat, and then a portion of veggie or fruit, and then something else. It could be some homemade yogurt. It could be, sourdough cracker. It could be, so usually something that would be considered more fun, and they can't consume any of the rest of what's on their plate until they do that one thing. So when I was first transitioning them, and now with the 2 younger kids, just because there's a lot of willpower involved of having these other things just sitting there in front of you and only eating this one thing first. So I just put the one food. I just put the meat on their plate. And once that's gone, I'll fill up the rest of their plate with the other stuff. So you can make it meat, and I make it meat because I think that is the most valuable thing for their body that's on their plate. But if there's an area that you just want your kids to grow, maybe there's a type of vegetable or fruit that you really want them to conquer, or just, whatever weakness you feel like they have that you would like their taste buds to adjust in, make that the thing they have to eat. And it's not an option, as in they will eat it. Because if they're not hungry enough, like, you want to teach them sardines are very nutritious. So maybe you want to get your kids used to sardines. So you make some sardine patties. Well, you have to eat that sardine patty before you eat anything else. Well, they decided that they're not hungry enough to eat a sardine patty at that meal. So they think now it's gone. Nope. I popped it in the refrigerator. I reheat it. Next meal comes around. Eat the sardine patty before you eat anything else. Eventually, they will be hungry enough to eat the sardine patty. And after having that sardine patty at enough meals, and they have to eat it before they eat anything else, they're going to enter a season where they are eating it because, all right, I know I can't eat anything else until I eat this, so I'll go ahead and eat it as quick as I can, be done with it. But their taste buds will change. And it will get to the point that they're eating it and they enjoy it. And it might not be the favorite thing on the plate, but they like it and they have no problem eating it. There's no more pushback. They enjoy it. Their body benefits from it, and then they get to eat anything else on the plate. All right, tip number 4 is to, once you've implemented these, you have educated yourself, you have completely transitioned your freezer, refrigerator, pantry, etc., and you are starting your kids on new habits and new foods, new taste buds. Now, an ongoing thing is to continue researching enjoyable ways to add variation, healthy variation to your kids' diet. Because I'll say when I first started on healthy eating, it was pretty limited in the area of variation because I wanted to make the changes necessary for my children's health. And I didn't have that much knowledge on how to incorporate healthy foods in a lot of variety of ways. And so that came with time, a lot of time. And so, of course, I don't want to make that suggestion without following up with a way to help you. Because again, I've been there and I've worked years to try to add fun ways of eating healthy food to my children's diet. And I've come away with not only a lot of fun options that are transforming their health, but also are things that they literally beg me to make, but are things that also are easy to make in bulk or have shortcuts worked in, or just easy to work into a busy mom's schedule. And I would like to pass all this off to you. So first, after you check out the course down below, for anyone who has gotten the course, the Moms Find Health course, which teaches you all the information about, again, ingredients and where to get them and how to work them into your diet. There's also a Moms Find Health membership. It's just $7 a month. And what that gives you access to is one, monthly trainings and Q&As live with me. So any questions that you have, I'm there to answer on the spot. But also an app. I am making an app, y'all. And I am filling it with all my recipes. All my recipes. Everything that I've made up or adapted to be what my children, the diet that my children now know and love and has transformed their health. It's all right here. I'm going to be continuously adding more and more. Every month I'll be adding more and more as I have the opportunity to do so, but also as I discover more recipes myself, because this is always an ongoing thing. So again, check out the link below. And tip number 5 is more of just a reminder of what you probably already know. That as you're making changes, these drastic changes in your diet and your kids' diet, and then you begin to interact with society, with your friends, with family, with whoever you interact with, there will be majority of people will be skeptical, will either openly say or maybe just subtly hint at the idea that you are over the top and these changes are too drastic and unnecessary. And so I guess at the end of the day, my tip is to be ready for that, because it will come. And you will be tempted to feel, even with all the information that you know and are learning, you'll be tempted to feel like, maybe I am over the top. Maybe this is ridiculous. It's so different from the majority of what everyone's doing. But again, in those moments, stop and think, yes, it is different from what the majority of people are doing. And guess what the health is like, what health is like for the majority of people. If you want to emulate the health of the average first world person, then emulate their diet. I don't think that's what we want for ourselves or our children or future generations. And so we have to be willing to stand out of the crowd, no matter how uncomfortable that becomes. And then number 6 is to teach these things to your children. Because I will say, I have taught this information, all this information that I've learned along the way to my children. And they understand it in varying degrees. But I continue teaching it, continue answering any questions that comes up, continue sharing the why for any decisions that we're making. And a ever increasing level is being understood. And so baseline of how I explain this to my kids thus far, and again, my oldest is 7, so this will change as time goes on. But how I start them off explaining this is I say that there are good soldiers. They're in our body. And those good soldiers are helping, their job is to help our body be healthy. So that can mean just taking care of our body the way it is. That can also mean fighting off the bad soldiers, the germs. So the good soldiers are essentially our gut and our immune system. And the bad soldiers are germs from the outside. So we say there's the good soldiers that are taking care of our body and also are fighting the bad soldiers. Sometimes that means they're fighting them and keeping them away when we don't get sick. Sometimes they fight them, but the bad soldiers still get in, but the good soldiers are still needing to fight to help us get better. So we might get sick, but it'll help us get better faster. And then I teach them that what makes the good soldiers strong and able to fight is healthy food that has the vitamins and nutrients in it that we need. And if we don't give them to our good soldiers, they can't fight. Whenever a bad soldier comes, the good soldier will lose. So we'll get sick, and we'll get sick for a lot longer. The bad soldier can hurt us a lot more. And all of my children have had instances that I can refer back to of times when their good soldiers were not as strong. I would say all except my 4th, because I knew most of this by the time I was pregnant with her. And when their good soldiers were not as strong, it wasn't fun. And so maybe your child has some example that you can give them from themselves, a time that they experience illness or a physical issue. Or maybe there's someone that they love in their life that has experienced that, and it can be an illness, something they caught, or it can be an autoimmune condition. It can be any way that their body did not handle something negative well. And so the good soldiers become strong from healthy food. But there's bad things in the air around us, in the stuff we put on our bodies, and most importantly, in the stuff we put in our bodies. And it's called toxins. And toxins, that's another name for poison. So the more toxins our body takes in, the more we poison our good soldiers. Now, thankfully, God gave us some parts of our body that help get rid of poison. Because there is no way to live in today's world and encounter no poison, toxin. But thankfully, as long as we keep our soldiers healthy enough by eating good food, and we keep the toxin level that we take in small enough, those organs, those parts of our body can do their job and can get rid of those toxins. But when our soldiers are not healthy because we're not giving them the right food, or the toxin level that we're taking in is so high, or both, it doesn't matter that we have parts of our body that can get rid of toxins because it's too much. They can't keep up. They'll get tired. And they're not healthy either because we haven't been giving them the healthy food that they need. We do occasionally have a processed food, because we recognize that as long as our body is showing us that it's healthy, it's okay to have a little bit every now and again. Now, if our bodies start showing us that they're struggling, we need to stop. We need to focus on making our good soldiers healthy. We need to focus on giving the parts of our body that get rid of toxins a break. And so because of that, because I've been diligent to teach them this, because I've been diligent to change their taste buds and to grow in them a passion for healthy food, and because they have those very close to their heart examples of times that their bodies were not doing well, it has gotten to the point that they are very wary of consuming toxins at all. And there have been multiple times that I have said, it's okay, you can have a little bit. And they've said, I'd rather not. There's this yummy treat that you made that I can have when we get home, and I want my body to stay healthy. Oh my goodness. Melted this mommy's heart right here. I love that. And so yes, it doesn't matter how much y'all are currently in the standard American diet. It doesn't matter how far-fetched this transition seems to you. It is not only doable, it is life-altering for your children, for their entire future. Just think what this 6 and 7-year-old, my two oldest, with the amount of knowledge they have and how they're already responding so wisely based on it. What is this going to look like once they're out of the house and already have fully realized how much their health is dependent on their own personal decisions? What a difference that will make in their own personal decisions, but then also the decisions, again, they're making for their future family and what they're teaching their future children and generations to come, y'all. That's what we're changing right now. Yes! So, what's your next steps? I have told you the next 6 steps I would suggest you take. And yes, you can do these 6 steps alone. I've been there, I've done that, and it stinks, y'all. You don't need to do that, because I've been there and I've done that. It's taken me years. I eventually got there, but it was not fun. And it was very, very lonely. Or you can do it with me and with a host of other moms on the exact same path that you are right now. So my next suggestion is to go down in the link below and join the Moms Find Health course and the private Facebook that comes with it, where we can gather together and talk through it all together. And remember that we're not alone. But most of all, remember that you can do this, Mama. Thank you.